We have finally reached the end of the year! And so we have arrived at the books I've read this year thus far, part 2! I read a lot more in the second half of 2017. And in total, I read 22 books this year. That's almost 2 books a month. Life is busy. Before we get to my entire year ranking, let's look at the second half of the year. In my number 8 slot with 3 stars is The Boy Who Drew Monsters by Keith Donahue. The pacing of this book was kind of slow. It took me a while to get into it. Throughout this book, I was a little irked at the insinuation that autistic children are dangerous. At points, it's gripping and thrilling, and there's really good plot twists. There was still that insinuation that autistic equals dangerous and evil, and I didn't like that at all. Also in this book, they use a Japanese character with a non-Japanese name. It's a made-up name to make it sound like it's Japanese, but that ain't a Japanese name. Tiramaku is not a Japanese name. That is just made-up syllables to make it sound like it's a Japanese name. I even checked to make sure they weren't trying to be Chiramaku or something. But no, Chiramaku doesn't make anything either. I tried looking up surnames. It's not a name. What the hell? I don't get why he couldn't research Japanese surnames and put a real surname in the book. Lazy. In the number 7 slot, we have The Assassin Game, which apparently I didn't like so much that I already sold it back. I also gave The Assassin Game 3 stars. It had such potential to be a good book. That potential was quickly lost with the main character, who is the blandest of bland girls, who thinks she's just your average girl who's not like other girls, and literally every boy in the plot has a crush on her. There was a decent plot twist of finding out who the real killer was. There wasn't much of the game being played, and it was overshadowed by Blandy McBland, main character girl. Number 6 is Trash by Andy Mulligan. This was a quick read and a good read. I gave it 3.5 stars. It took me a bit to get into the writing style. It's kind of a scrapbook of frequently changing POVs. But this book touches on a lot of issues like race and poverty in a really interesting way. Though the ending fell a little flat, I wanted a bigger climax at the end, but it was still really good. Overall, it was a really nice break from reading trilogy upon trilogy upon trilogy. In my number 5 slot, we have The Heir and the Crown. This is the sequel to the Selection series, and I'm kind of sad it's only 2 books. Despite popular belief, I thought Evelyn was a very believable character. The way that her mind works and her motivations and her upbringing, it made sense for her to be a little bit haughty. It doesn't have as much action as the Selection series, and it really felt like it was building to a bigger conflict that just didn't happen. So 4 stars, Selection series is a series I never thought I would really love, but I do. My number 4 slot with a 4-star average is the Legend trilogy. First book was my favorite for sure. Prodigy, not as much, and then they picked up again in Champion. Legend trilogy may be my new favorite dystopian series. The Republic is a really well-designed and believable world. And I love the flaws that we got to see in the other countries around the world that were made to appear. It felt very truthful and honest about what the world would be like, and that there's no one good place on Earth. The downfall of this series for me is that I was promised there was no love triangle. It was on a list that explicitly said there are no love triangles in this. That was a lie. I don't think that person read these books because there's not 1, but 2 love triangles. Lies! And the whole romantic subplot felt just a tad rushed. And Champion utilized some tropes that I'm not a fan of. Memory loss and keeping secret that you're secretly dying. Not a fan of those tropes. Overall, love the series, love the writing style. Marie Lu did a great job. And in 4th place, another trilogy, the Strange House series. A School for Unusual Girls, Exile for Dreamers, and Refuge for Masterminds. Exile for Dreamers. That's my fave. I like that each book shifts to a different girl in the house, which is probably why Tess is my favorite, because she's Miss Tomboy, whose romantic subplot is a trope that I love. The hating each other to the loving each other. This series is alternative history, featuring Napoleon, and all the girls in the series are training to be spies, basically, and it's really cool. Personally, I would love to see a prequel to these books. And in 2nd place, with as little bias as possible, The Annals of Lucy Arthur. Written by R.N. Humphreys. R.N. Humphreys happens to be Becky, guys. Remember Becky from Japan? These are her books. And they're really, really good. And I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. They're actually really good. This is a fantasy series, but there are a lot of parallels to our own history. I particularly saw parallels in how Native Americans were treated and forced to assimilate. It's really well written, guys. The characters are so believable. Mila is my girl. I love her. If I was only gushing about this book series, I would be really biased. The things that I didn't enjoy about this series is some of the romantic subplots. In particular, there's a pairing that we didn't, because they don't have their own POVs, we don't get to see their whole story grow together. And it's revealed that they are kind of a thing. Just didn't see the chemistry there, you know? Really, really, really good plot twist though. Threw me for a loop. And finally, my number 1 book of the last 6 months is You're Never Weird on the Internet by Felicia Day. This is a side copy, guys. I met Felicia Day. I'm a huge fan of Felicia Day. This book has reinforced my love of Felicia Day. I learned so much more about her. I have all kinds of new respect for Felicia Day because, you know, it's written by her. You can hear her tone. I was laughing out loud. She's so relatable. I just adore her, and this book amplified how much I adore her. So there you have it. In the last 6 months, those are the books I've read this year thus far. And without further ado, the final ranking of all the 2017 books that I have read. So cuties, what did you read this year? Put them in the comments below. You can read more in depth on my reviews on my Goodreads page. Go ahead and follow me, friend me on there so we can keep in touch and see what we're reading for each other and recommend each other books. And what are you guys gonna read for 2018? I've narrowed it down to 9 books of what I'm gonna start with. Haven't picked it yet. I hope you guys all have a very happy new year, and I will see you in 2018, cuties. Bye!